I just got back from a while. Fortney had apparently taken a liking to Torta after I'd explained to her she was my childhood friend, so she would often try to push me in her direction.
そうだ。なら私が作ってあげようか。
Okay, I'll bite. What will you make me?
料理に決まってるでしょ。何を聞いてたのよ。
How is it even possible?
できるわよ。
This was the second time today she'd shown me that confident grin. Sorry, impossible.
なんでよ。
I have one thing to say to you.
あ、減ってる。
Idiot. That was rude, Chris. She's trying to make you food. That was how I got through my usually boring Saturday. Ari and fall. I had a lot of important things to think about, but I decided to focus on the letter from Ari that would arrive tomorrow for now. I'd agreed to visit Nina before that, though, so I should make sure not to return too late. My body, heavy from a belly full of lasagna, gradually became permeated by a comfortable drowsiness. Is this, what, Sunday? Or Monday? After spending lunchtime in leisure, I shouldered my Fortelle and went out. Disregarding the usual rain, I hurried towards Torta's house. The district with the house I was headed for was situated right next to the student apartments. There were many very old solitary houses in the area, and Nina's house, which she bought second-hand when she moved here, was no exception. It was surprisingly close to my apartment, so it only took about 5 minutes by foot. I walked toward a relatively large building at the other end of the narrow alley. Anything? Okay.
どうぞ。
Torta was all smiles as she greeted me at the entrance. Thank you for having me. I set foot into a room that gave off a familiar scent. Every time I entered this household, I was flooded with a feeling of nostalgia.
クリスかい？
The sound of a creaking chair could be heard as Nina spoke to me. Yes, it has been quite a while. Nina faced me while rocking slowly in a bentwood chair.
もっと近くに。
Okay. I did as I was told and grasped the deeply wrinkled hand lying dormant on the armrest.
大きくなったね。
It's only been it's only been half a year since then, Mrs. Fine. I do not grow that fast.
またそんな大人びた口調し。
She told me with a gentle voice and looked me in the eye. Or rather, she attempted to look me in the eye. Her narrow, barely opened irises were clouded, and she was almost unable to see anything nowadays.
そうよ。似合わないのにね。
A very long time ago, I had called her Granny, just as Torta still did. Nina talked about it as though it was only yesterday. Being treated like that wasn't unpleasant at all. But being treated like a child was starting to feel a little awkward now that I was at an age where I was expected to show courtesy to seniors. In any case, it has been a long time.
いいんだよ。ポルテールを持ってきてくれてるってことは何か演奏でもしてくれるんだろ？
If my abilities will suffice.
また上手くなってるんだろうね。
I cannot guarantee you that. She's gonna frown. Watch it. Yes.
毎回同じこと言って。クリスはもう少し自分に自信を持たなくちゃいけないね。無理よ。だってこんなんで今までずっとやってきたんだから、そう簡単には変わらないって。
Torta, that was uncalled for.
褒めてるのよ。
Well, thanks.
相変わらずだね。言った通りでしょ。トルタもね。クリスの前だとどうしてそうも突っかかるのかね。おばあちゃん。ほら、今日は何を聞かせてくれるんだい？
I could perform any piece I've sufficiently practiced. I answered, and then began preparing my Fortelle. Although I only came a few times a year, visiting Nina's house to perform for her had become somewhat of a customary routine. Nina often went to recitals like the ones held in the concert hall, so it was a little embarrassing for us students to perform for her. But Nina always looked forward to these visits. So, besides simply recalling the past, I played the Fortelle whenever I dropped by.
それならこの前弾いてくれた曲、あれはなんて言ったかね。
この前ってそれだけじゃわからないよ。おばあちゃんのこの前は何年も前のことだっておかしくないんだから。
Hey, back off. She's an old lady. In that case, how about playing all the pieces we've ever played here?
いつになく乗り気だね。めんどくさいとか言わないなんて偉いじゃない。
I'm always serious.
そうだね。クリスはいつだって。
No, sorry, I lied. I'd expected Torta's complaints, but having it affirmed like that made me feel embarrassed, or rather ashamed.
二人が演奏してくれるのなら私は何でもいいよ。
謝るくらいなら言わなければいいのに。
It's all because your reaction was too slow.
人のせいにしないでよ。
Torta struck my side with her elbow and then began her singing preparations.
とりあえず簡単な反省練習は済ませてるから、こっちはいつでもいいよ。
That's the exact thing Forney did, and I don't know why or how that works. I'm almost done as well. Nina slowly entrusted her body to the chair, making herself comfortable for the upcoming performance. Somehow, even that minor gesture aroused nostalgia within me. Feeling slightly remorseful for not visiting in such a long time, I pledged to myself to perform more earnestly than ever today. For starters, I lightly traced my finger along the keyboard and struck a note. The crystalline sound of my Fortelle reverberated through the room, prompting Nina to turn slightly toward me. The house itself was large, and in this area there was no one who would regard a musical performance as an annoyance. I slightly adjusted my position to make sure Nina would be able to hear it well, then turned to face Torta. Excluding practice for the graduation recital, without opportunities like these, I would almost never get to play together with her. So I was a little bit nervous. Anytime you're ready.
じゃあ私も知ってる曲を適当にお願い。
Got it. Oh, exhaling deeply, I looked Torta straight in the eye. What? No, don't do that. Stop. We didn't need any words to signal the start. I inhaled some air to synchronize with her respiration, then gently started playing my keyboard. First, we played some famous pieces we had learned after coming to the Institute. Nina sat motionlessly as though she had fallen asleep, simply letting her body be overtaken by the waves of sound. But after less than an hour, our repertoire was exhausted, and we had to resort to playing pieces we picked up here and there and pieces we learned when we were small. Even so, as long as Torta knew these songs, there wasn't much of a problem. But at times I would start a piece she didn't know of the lyrics to and continued playing without breaking off, provoking a laugh from Nina. And afterward, Torta would get mad at me. But those moments were amusing in their own way, and I felt as though it was the first time I had genuinely enjoyed a performance in quite a while. The time the three of us spent relaxing after dinner had gone by in the blink of an eye. And as for what we talked about, it was naturally all about all my endeavors. I butchered that. Nina was inquisitive about the smallest of things that even Torta didn't know of, and before I noticed, I had been absorbed in the conversation until late at night. Whoa, yeah, stop scrolling. It's like, what, 10:30? Well, it's getting a little late. I better go home soon.
クリス、今日は本当にありがとう。
Now, I'm sorry for not coming more often. Without realizing it, I'd relaxed my manner of speech as well. I always tried to be very polite every time I came here, but then inevitably messed up when it was about time to go home.
無理はしないで、好きな時に来ればいいんだからね。
I will, I answered honestly. Nina gently nodded, then grasped my hand one final time. If she had told me to come again soon, I would probably have pledged to do so with a smile on my face. But since the relationship between Torta and I was a bit complicated right now, I found myself unable to propose this myself.
じゃあまた明日だね。
At the front door, Torta continued to me in a whisper so only I could hear it.
今日はありがとう。
Yeah, see you tomorrow. After one last healthy intake of nostalgic air in the house, I went outside. Into the rain. The incessant rain felt cold to the touch, so I put my coat back on tightly, then hurried along the road home.
遅い。
I'm home. Sorry I'm late.
あるへの返事は間に合うの？
You're worried about the ensemble, not the letter, aren't you?
う
Sorry, but I'll have to pass today. I'm exhausted.
ん。もう何言ってるのよ。さっさと返事書いて。
Taking tomorrow into consideration, I'll have my hands full just writing the letter.
本当にダメなの？
We'll do it twice as long next time, okay?
せっかく待ってたのに。
Like I said, I'm really sorry about that.
いいだ。
There was nothing I could do about it. Besides, it wasn't like it had to be on a Sunday. I could perform with her for a bit tomorrow as well. Sorry, Forney. I didn't know if she was still listening, but I told her so in a tiny voice, then decided to forget about the matter for the time being. Well then. Although I had been deep in talk at Torta's place, I had eaten until my belly was full, and now I had to make an effort not to fall asleep on the spot. Looking at the pretty writing of the letter, a sense of relief overcame me, and I became sleepy once again. To make myself a bit more comfortable, I lay down on my bed before reading the letter.
クリス、そちらは今も
Yes.
やっぱり雨が降っているんでしょうね。
It never stops raining.
先週降った雨もすぐに止んで、またこっちは白々しいくらいのお天気です。止まない雨というのはどんな気分なのか、時々考えてみたりもします。もし少しだけでもこっちに分けてもらえるなら喜んで引き受けてあげるのに。そんなこと言うなんてバカみたいだって笑うクリスの顔が見えた気がします。でもそれが素直な気持ち。卒業演奏のパートナーはどう？やっぱりこの話題になっちゃうけど、今一番重要なことだから許してね。別にトルタのことだけじゃなく、たとえ誰になったとしても卒業に関わるような大切なことだもんね。早くいい人が見つかって練習にも身が入るといいね。そればっかりじゃあまりにも寂しいので、今度は私の方の話も少し書くことにします。このパン屋に私が勤め始めたのはクリスたちが学院に入ったのと同じ時期だから、細かい報告はしていたけど正式にはまだだったかな。とにかく今は私も最初から最後まで一人で焼くところまで任されるくらいになりました。とっても忙しい毎日だけど充実していて、それいつか私の作った美味しいパンをクリスに食べさせてあげられたらいいな。その日が来るのを楽しみに待っています。
That seems like an innuendo. Arietta.
アリエッタ。
Oh, I never noticed I have a quill. Bread made by Arietta. Huh. Since I was full, I didn't really want to think about food, but I felt something like that could still manage to fit. Forney. I left the letter next to my pillow and muttered, Wake me up a little earlier tomorrow. I can't write a reply anymore. Burying my face in my pillow, the border of the dream world was already in sight. Good night. And what day? It's gonna be Monday.
起きなさい
Okay. I had a feeling someone was yelling in my ear, telling me to wake up. It seemed the remainder of my fatigue hadn't dissolved quite yet. I didn't want to open my eyes, much less get up, and I still felt sluggish.
もうクリスが起こせって言ったんでしょ
Lunedì. 12th of December. Ugh. As I slowly opened my eyes, a miffed-looking Forney standing by my bedside came into view. Morning. Is it that late already? I flitted my eyes to the clock behind the angry sprite. It's only barely past 9. I can sleep for 30 more minutes.
だからクリスが言ったんじゃない
She pulled my ear with all her might. Of course she had the strength of a little fairy. I didn't feel much.
起きなさい
I get it. Don't shout in my ear like that.
だいたいまだあるへの手紙書いてないんでしょ
Come to think of it, I stayed at Nina's place until late yesterday and fell asleep right after reading the letter. Having suddenly recalled everything, I scanned my bedside, but the letter I was sure I had left there was gone.
手紙ならクリスがくしゃくしゃにしないように机の上に置いておいたよ
Oh, thanks.
ほら早く起きて手紙書いて今日もしっかり練習してらっしゃい
Now, who taught you to speak like that? Actually, she'd been that way since I first met her. What she said seemed like something Torta would say. Oh well, thanks for waking me up.
もうクリスは私がいないと何もできないんだから
Nothing?
何も
I see, I was thinking about doing an ensemble with you when I got back, but somehow I don't really feel like it anymore.
嘘だ
Oh, I don't mind if you think I'm lying. It was just a thought in the first place, and now I don't feel like it anymore.
ふん
I expected her to apologize and be done with it. What are you being so stubborn about?
貼ってないもん
I think such a reply is proof of, in itself, you're being stubborn. Had I been teasing her too much since last night? I was starting to feel a bit sorry for her, so I decided to give up. Never mind, I'm sorry.
いいだ
Forney seemed to be quite upset, but that was rather cute in its own way. As I pondered mean things, like leaving her in her angered state for a while longer, I decided to focus on my primary objective for now, my reply to Ari. Oh, that was her. Oops. When I got up and walked to my desk, I heard Forney make a tiny sound behind me. What?
なんでもない
What? Spit it out.
だからなんでもないって
Forney didn't want to say it, but I understood what she wanted. She wanted me to carry her to her favorite seat in front of the window. Come on.
あ
I grabbed her side with my thumb and index finger and popped her down on the window frame.
ちょっと
This is what you wanted, right?
いいけどさ
Listen, I apologize for last night and for teasing you just now. But you know, I don't think anyone can do everything themselves. Sure, if you weren't there to wake me up, I would likely oversleep a lot. But without my help, you wouldn't be able to reach high places, would you?
うん
That's why it's wrong for you to say that. Above all, it takes two to perform an ensemble.
もうわかったよ
Thanks. Then I guess I'll go write my letter now. Forney shifted her gaze to the outside world and started humming, something she often did when in a good mood. Feeling relieved, I pulled a clean sheet of paper from the drawer and sat down behind my desk. Thankfully, it looked like Ari was doing just fine on her end. In her early letter, she often wrote that she was having difficulties. I often grumbled that I couldn't get used to living here at the Institute as well, but I somehow managed to hold out until now. I could confidently say that was the result of being supported by the people around me, like Forney, Torta, Asino, and Miss Cordell. Aria had to have people like that as well. Thinking about her friends who didn't appear much in their letters, I started writing my reply.
終わった？そろそろ時間だよ。
Phony told me after glancing at the clock, back in high spirits once more. Don't worry, I'm done. I'll be right on time if I leave now. Thanks for waking me up.
やっぱりクリスには私がいないとね。
She had slightly altered her choice of words. I had to agree with her this time. Yeah, you're right. I answered jovially, and began preparing to leave. I'm off.
いってらっしゃい。今日は早いんでしょ？
Probably, but even if I'm not, I will keep my promise.
わかってる。
I finished my usual morning session and spent the time with Torta in the cafeteria. Well then, what shall I do now? Looks like practice. But I am in fact going to save. Right there. And, start back up later.